Hello and welcome to week one. Week two of the Success Principles. And I thank you for joining us. I am Patricia Mooneyham, the Passion Professor, and we are here to learn more of the principles written by Jack Canfield on how to get from where you are to where you want to be. So to start out this evening, I thought we would just talk about what we're going to do. We're going to review a little bit from last week. We're going to talk about what your homework was. I am going to make a schedule change. Originally, this was meant to be a 6-week program, and instead, what I'm going to do is make this 5 weeks, because next week, I'm going to talk about what we're going to do next week, and that is going to not be so interactive. So it's going to be a little bit of instructional. So I'm going to combine weeks 2 and week 3 all together. Hopefully you're not hearing my puppies because they're playing upstairs. But we are going to make that as a schedule change. So week 3 and week 4, I'm going to combine all into 1 week. So that's actually going to finish out the class a week early. So we're going to talk a little bit about what change did you make. Week 2 goals and objectives, and then we're going to talk about homework for this week. So just a quick review about what we did last week. Your key principles. You have to give up blaming and complaining. It's all about personal responsibility. The second thing is you have to give up all your excuses and take the position that whatever you're experiencing in life, the results are what you are creating. So that was that equation E plus R equals O, which is event plus response equals your outcome. So it's not necessarily the event, it's how you respond to it that gives you the outcome. So if you want to change your outcome, you need to change your response, because chances are you don't have any control over the events. This was our homework. Just a reminder was take actions on the things that you wrote down that you're going to do as a result of doing your exercises, and be prepared to report on at least one of them at our next session. So I'm going to ask you to pull one of those out and kind of use it as we go through our exercises tonight. Take your goals and begin to think about making them specific. How much, by when, think about how you would quantify the goal. You were supposed to read chapter 7, 10, 11, which was unleash the power of goal setting, release the brakes, and see what you want to get what you see. If you did not read chapters 1 and 3, you were supposed to go back and read them. Okay. Let's see if that helps. Alrighty then. So let's go on. One of the things, and I had put the form up on the Facebook group, were to set goals in these 7 areas. So I wanted to do a real quick review of the 7 areas that we're going to work into, because the exercises are going to work in these areas, because these are major life areas. So these are the big things. We're working on the big things. The little things are nice steps, building blocks, but these are the big things, right? Start with small steps to get far distances. So financial, career, recreation and free time, physical fitness and health, relationships with family and friends, personal goals, learning, spiritual growth, personal achievements, community service, contribution, and legacy. All right, so hopefully you created some goals around those 7 areas, because like I said, we're going to be working on those a little bit further. So let's go with, so at this point, think about something that you did or an insight that you had as a result of the work that we did last session. So that's what we were just going over. And then we are going to start out with the idea of goals versus good ideas. So you want to set measurable goals for the 21 things that you committed to do. So you're supposed to do 3 goals in each of the 7 areas. And you want to make sure you're writing those in a way in terms of measurable as far as what you're reaching and time, and you want to be very, very specific. So, for example, your good idea would be, I would like to own a nice home by the ocean. A more specific goal or objective would be, I will own a 4,000 square foot house on the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, California by noon on April 30th of 2007. Okay, is everybody kind of absorbing that? A goal would be, I want to lose weight. A good idea would be, I want to lose weight. That's a really good idea for all of us. I don't know about any of you, but that was definitely on my list for this year. The goal would be, I will weigh 185 pounds by 5 p.m. January 1st, 2006. I think that specifically was one of his. So then the third one was, I need to treat my employees better. So this is good. So these aren't just for entrepreneurs. A lot of people think some of these coaching programs are just for, but these are practical every day. Everybody has goals. Everybody has things that they want to reach. And how about, I will acknowledge a minimum of 6 employees for their contribution to the department by 5 p.m. this Friday. So that's a great one if you're a supervisor. But that gives you some more kind of specific examples of how specific you want to be when you're setting these goals or objectives. And remember last week when I talked about goals and objectives, that you want to, we're going to keep them to this year. So we're looking at a 12-month span, and not the, you could have 5-year goals. There's 5-year plans. You could have life goals. There's a list of 100 things I want to do before I die, bucket list type plans. But this is, we're talking about in the next 12 months. All right, so everybody had a chance to kind of absorb those. So go ahead and just take a minute to look at your goals and maybe just start thinking about which ones you're going to complete first. And then this is another really great bonus tip that he gives in the book, and it's called an MTO. So you're going to create an MTO, which is the minimum, a target, and your outrageous goal, right? So kind of that's your shoot for the goal. So, for example, he gives this great example of cleaning out your garage. So let's look at that. Your minimum goal would be taking out 1 tire to the curb, right? So that's a very minimum. At least I get that tire out of my way. And then your target goal might be to take 3 boxes and open them up to see what's in there and decide if you're going to keep them or throw them away. Your outrageous goal would be to empty out your entire garage, paint it, hire California Closets to install shelving and cabinets, and then take each item one at a time and put it back, only if you want to keep that. So we'd all like to clean out that way. So down here at the bottom, so that's the minimum, target, and outrageous. This is a great quote. I love this one. If you're bored with life, if you don't get up with a burning desire to do things, you don't have enough goals. And that was from Lou Holtz, the NCAA coach. I thought that was really appropriate, being that we're in the middle of the March Madness and the Final Four. All right, so the outrageous goal is something that would just blow your mind if you achieved it. Something that feels like, well, we could never do that. We never have 1,000 people, example, enrolled in a seminar. That would be outrageous. The target goal is we could definitely get 400 people enrolled in the seminar, and the minimum would be 100 people enrolled in a seminar, for example. So you're almost guaranteed to reach your minimum. So that's the thing, I can do that. No sweat, barely takes any effort. And your minimum gets you off the dime because you don't feel like you can't do it. Your target is within your capabilities, and then you have your outrageous. You see, what happens is that most people will start with the minimum, and then they get motivated. Have you ever had the experience where you say, I'm just going to clean up the kitchen a little, and the next thing you know, you've cleaned the entire kitchen and even waxed the floor. It was just a matter of getting started. You know what I mean? You were just going to go downtown for a minute and you spend 3 hours down there getting errands done. And then ask yourself, who could I delegate part or all this to? Because that's one thing where when we're achieving goals, we have a tendency, because they're personal or they're our goals, thinking that they only have to be us. But enlisting help to achieve our goals actually makes our power, exponential. So you could delegate the entire garage to California Closets and your wife and 20-year-old son. You wouldn't have to be involved with it all and still gets done. So sometimes you delegate to someone you know, or you trade by doing something you like to do for them and they do this for you. And if you have money, you'll find that you can buy solutions to most of your problems, thus freeing up valuable time to create and enjoy the life that you want. So, talking about creating the life that you want, we are going to move to affirmations next. So, your first exercise, and you're going to be able to do this for homework, is you're going to create note pages or note cards. So, you're going to take the goals that you set, and you are going to take the goals and make them very specific, measuring both how much and by when. So a couple of other tips for these when setting goals, and some great stories that he does in the book, is writing yourself a check, right? So he does this great story. Let's see if I can find it really quick. I thought I bookmarked it. About Jim Carrey. We all know who Jim Carrey is, right? He wrote himself, he wanted to be an actor, didn't have a lot of luck, didn't come from a great base to do that, but he really, really wanted it. So he wrote himself a check. Here he goes. Well, around 1990, when Jim Carrey was a struggling young Canadian comic trying to make his way in Los Angeles, he drove his old Toyota up to Mulholland Drive. While sitting there looking at the city below and dreaming of his future, he wrote himself a check for $10 million, dated it Thanksgiving 1995. So this was a 5-year goal because he did it in 1990. Added the notation for acting services rendered and carried it in his wallet from that day forward. The rest, as they say, is history. Carrey's optimism and tenacity eventually paid off, and by 1995, after the huge box office success of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, his asking price had risen to $20 million per picture. When Carrey's father died in 1994, he placed the $10 million check into his father's coffin as a tribute to the man who both started and nurtured the dreams of his being a star. So the secret is to keep this with you. Carry your most important goal in your wallet. Is his mentor was W. Clement Stone, and who mentions him often in the book. Always told him to write his most important goal on the back of his business card and carry it with you at all times. Every time he opened his wallet, he would be reminded of his most important goal. So those are things for your top goal. So out of those 21 that you've created, what's your very top one? And that's the one you want to keep top of mind. So this is what you're going to do tonight. So like I said, for some people, it might be note pages. It can be a screensaver. It can be note cards. But things that you can keep these with you. And then we're going to talk about affirmations, and we're going to take this to the next step. So daily practice. Now that you've created your goals, it is important to repeat them 2 to 3 times per day. Okay? So is everybody clear on that? 2 to 3 times a day. And for every goal you have, you want to have an affirmation. The affirmation having that goal in the present tense. So, our next step is really going over the steps for creating good affirmations. Because so many people think they're doing affirmations, and I'm actually going to share a really great, it's called a prosperity prayer. I'll be sharing that in the Facebook group. But I'm going to go over the 9 guidelines for creating an affirmation. The purpose of an affirmation is that you're going to declare something as if it was already true, but it's not manifested in reality yet. What that does is create in the brain a dynamic tension that results in motivation. All motivation comes from having a picture of something that you want in your head that you have not yet created in reality. The purpose of an affirmation is to create and maintain this tension to create motivation. So, start with the words I am. You're always going to use the present tense because you're creating this as your new reality. You're going to state it in the positive. Affirm what you want, not what you don't want. So affirmations shouldn't say, I don't want to be single, I don't want to be in debt, I don't want, you definitely want to state those in positive. Keep it brief and to the point as much as possible, but be specific, make it specific. Include an action word ending in ing. That's what puts it in present tense. Include at least one dynamic emotion or feeling word because you want to put some emotion behind this. Make affirmations for yourself, not others. So you're motivating yourself with these affirmations. You can't do affirmations about your husband, about your children, about your boss. Like, I want my boss, my affirmation is my boss will promote me by, or he'll be promoting me by. No. So your affirmations have to be about you. And then add the words at the end or something better. And I so want to share a personal story right now with this because recently my daughter was in the process of purchasing a car. She had made all the arrangements, but she's young, and so she didn't really have enough credit history. So she calls me up crying. She thought she had the deal done. She goes to sign the paperwork, and they tell her, you don't have enough credit. We can't do this for you. Like, it was the vehicle she wanted. It was in her budget. It was everything that she thought she wanted. So she calls me up. She's really upset. And I said, well, you were focused on everything that could go wrong. So what you really need to do is just focus on the things that you really want, and at the very end, add these words or something better. So she's like, okay. Don't you know, within that same week, she got an even better deal on the exact vehicle she wants that they brought in from PA. We're in New Jersey. Like I said, at a better price from a even closer dealer. Before she's having to drive all the way, like an hour away. This one was 20 minutes away. It was more local. So, or something better is very important because the universe, once you start creating that energy, because we're all made of energy and that energy comes back to us, especially when we're manifesting things. So adding or something better opens ourselves to the feeling that we want, the emotion that we want, the state of being that we want, and let the universe give us the vehicle for that. So, or something better is very, very key. So I just want you to take a minute and kind of look over and maybe practice what your first affirmation would be. So maybe pick your most important goal. So here's an example. So your goal is to not spend money on little things, but to instead save on something bigger. Instead, a new wine refrigerator, for example. That would not be an affirmation, right? That's more general. So your affirmation would be, I am feeling happy stocking my new wine refrigerator with 40 bottles of wine. So with enthusiasm and happiness, because I am feeling, there's my present, I am, and my ing. Stocking, it's an action. That's something I can imagine myself doing, holding these bottles of wine. You're going to be, when you're saying these, we're going to go through some visualization exercises. So you could imagine seeing yourself doing that, your favorite bottles of wine, stocking it. And then you want to go through and practice that emotion piece. The emotion word is very important because that helps with the visualization process. So, releasing the brakes with visualization. Every day you want to do is read through these affirmations at least 2 times. Once in the morning when you first get up, and then again at night before you go to sleep. To get the most power out of your goals and affirmations, stop after each affirmation, close your eyes, and see the goal as it would look as if it already achieved it. So thinking about the wine example, I want everybody to kind of close your eyes and see yourself stocking a wine refrigerator with these bottles of wine, or you can take your first goal if you already have an affirmation in mind and actually see yourself doing it and feel that emotion. And, oh, I'm so excited. Because we know when we achieve a goal, it does create that sense of excitement and a certain energy, and we give off a positive energy. And that's why they say things can happen in threes. It really has to do with the energy you're creating and what you're attracting to yourself. So here's the next piece of it. That you want to do this every day. The discipline that grows out of this is to put your affirmations into some kind of format so you'll be able to easily read them every morning and every night before you go to bed. So that can be one affirmation on a 3x5 index card, or it can be typed up really nice and laminated, or put into a page protector. Some people tape them up to the refrigerator. You can put them up on the pop-up screen on your computer. The idea is you want to keep them constantly in your face, because the biggest problem is that people don't stay focused on what it is that they want to create. And I definitely can attest to this, because as soon as you start to lose focus, you get what you focus on, right? So what you give attention to is what you create energy around. So it's easy to lose focus, and this allows you to make sure that you are keeping in focus that which you want to be achieving, to be manifesting in your life. So, how to use affirmations and visualization. Review your affirmations 1 to 3 times a day. The best times are first thing in the morning, in the middle of the day to refocus yourself, and around bedtime. If appropriate, read each affirmation aloud. Close your eyes and visualize yourself as the affirmations describes. See it as if you were looking at the scene from inside of yourself. In other words, don't see yourself standing out there in the scene. See the scene looking out through your eyes as if you were actually living it. So that's kind of a different approach, right? It's not about seeing yourself running. It's actually seeing what you would be seeing as you were running. Say you wanted to do a 5K, and that was one of your health and fitness goals. So you might write a very specific goal of, I want to complete my first 5K by June 30th in Ocean City. So then you would imagine yourself, and your affirmation may be, I am finishing among the leaders on the boardwalk in Ocean City, and I can smell the salt air. And just kind of imagine the feel of the sunshine and see yourself on the boardwalk with the people along the side, and that would be an affirmation exercise. Hear any sounds you might hear when you successfully achieve what your affirmation describes: the sound of the surf, the roar of the crowd, the playing of the national anthem. Include other important people in your life congratulating you and telling you how pleased they are with your success. Feel the feelings that you will feel when you achieve that success. That one's hard for us, right? Because letting ourselves actually feel those things ahead of time, some people worry about disappointment, but you really want to know what that feels like. And that's the part that really, feelings do create energy. There's all kinds of studies around that. The stronger the feelings, the more powerful the process. If you have difficulty creating the feelings, you can affirm, I am enjoying easily creating powerful feelings in my effective work with affirmations. There's an affirmation for you right there. I'm going to have to quote that one and put it up for next week. Say your affirmation again, and then repeat this process with the next affirmation. Okay, so is everybody good? Are we following along? So some other ways to use affirmations is post 3x5 index cards with your affirmations around your home. Hang pictures of things you want around your house or your room. You can put a picture of self in the picture. Repeat your affirmations during wasted time, such as waiting in line, exercising, and driving. You can repeat them silently or out loud. Record your affirmations and listen to them while you work, exercise, drive, or fall asleep. Have one of your parents make a recording of encouraging things you'd like to have heard from them when you were growing up, or words of encouragement and permission you would currently like to hear. Repeat your affirmations in the first person, I am. Second person, you are. And third person, he, she, is, or your name is. Put your affirmations on your screensaver on your computer, tablet, or smartphone so you'll see them every time you use your computers. And there's all kinds of studies on this that show that doing affirmation works. This is that law of attraction, The Secret, if you've read any of those works. He has a lot more about affirmations in the book. If you've read through that, if you haven't, I would really suggest you do that. So, example, to not just spend money, this is the wine refrigerator example. So we want to make sure to do that. So take your goal. We're just going to take a minute now and write an affirmation for your goal. And just take a second and practice your affirmation with emotion and enthusiasm. Close your eyes, saying your affirmation, envisioning what that looks like. So I really want to just take a minute. We're actually going to take a minute at a time right now for you to get that feeling. That way, if you have any questions about it, you can ask me now during this time. And we're going to wait and do that for just a minute. Imagining, like I said, the one with the 5K and you're running. People are there. Maybe your kids are at the finish line. Maybe your significant other is there waiting with a bottle of water. You know, change of clothes. Smell that salt air. Feel that heat on you. You know, and you're just going to take a minute to really feel exhilarated, and the other runners that were there with you, and the sights and sounds that would be around you, and really kind of allow yourself to get into that. And like I said, you have 21 of these, so make sure you're giving the most emphasis to the ones that are most important, and make sure you're ranking those. You should have one in each category that really, really rises to the top for you. So let's do that. Okay, so if I don't have any questions about that, is everybody good with that? Looks like everybody is okay with that. Let's talk about your homework for tonight. So we changed some rules around setting goals. So you had some general goals. So now you need to go back and make sure that the goals that you have, well, let's back up a little. Oh, I got ahead of myself. So so he gives an example. It's a little sad about 9/11, how most people remember them. So we're actually going to go to the homework. I like going to the homework. So you're going to finish creating that list of goals, then create an affirmation and a visual for each goal. Then what I want you to do is do the note cards, because that way you can carry them with you. You'll have the visual cues to reinforce it on the opposite side. So what I mean by that is you're going to write your goal and your affirmation all on one side of the card. Then on the next, you're going to do your visual cues, whether it's a picture of running shoes, a picture of where you want to be, a picture of a house, a picture of I have a picture of $1 million bill I print all the time and put all over everybody. But I'm learning better ways to do affirmation by doing this class with you. So there's so many things. Anytime you attach that emotion to it, positive emotions is going to help put that energy out to the universe. So next is, you can also do the type list, but I do suggest you do the cards as well. But that way you can keep the type list. Also put it up on your screensaver. We talked about that. The key is to put it into a format you'll use 2 to 3 times a day. Some people post it on their refrigerator, in their bathroom, by their bed, by their computer at work, in their car. So you can make as many copies as you like, but that's why I like the note cards. And don't forget, your very most important goal out of all of them, you're going to carry with you in your wallet at all times. So you have it with you at all times. Make sure that you say your affirmations with emotion at least twice a day. And then you're going to start collecting pictures for your dream or vision board, as we'll be talking about that next week. So as you're gathering your pictures and your visual cues for those note cards, you're also going to make sure that you're collecting your pictures for your dream and vision board. And we're actually going to talk about that. So that's why we're going to be combining classes. So I'm going to talk about it and give some direction. People will be able to share them if they would like in the Facebook group. And I'll actually share one of mine. I actually have multiples. I really believe in the vision boards. I have like mini ones around my house and stuff like that. But so I look forward to seeing that and doing that a little bit next week. And as far as reading ahead, we're going to stick with this affirmations and that for now, and then I'll post any other reading material in the next invite for the next class. So next class is Monday, March 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I hope to see all of you there. Don't forget, you will get a replay of this so that you'll be able to see the homework and anything else and kind of go over some of the exercises that we did if you need to stop that way and do the exercise with your actual goals. You'll be able to do that. And I thank you all for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you next week. See ya Monday.